Also, the other thing that companies need to really think about that they never really thought about before is that it really puts a fine point on the end of data life.
AI regulations like Europe's GDPR and the EU AI Act often seem as hurdles, but these are actually roadmaps for building trust and ensuring ethical AI. To help us unpack how businesses can navigate these frameworks effectively, we're going to turn to you, Debbie. What do you see is the biggest challenge or opportunities for companies aligning with these regulations?
One is that these regulations, the GDPR, the EU AI Act, really put humans at the center, right? Where they're saying if based on how you handle someone's data, you can create a harm to that person. The regulations are trying to create a situation where the individual has more transparency and control over their data, and also is incumbent on companies to really understand that their use of this type of data can create a harm for people. Also, the other thing that companies need to really think about that they never really thought about before is that it really puts a fine point on the end of data life. In the past, before some of these privacy and AI regulations had come about, corporations or businesses never had a reason, or they never had anything pushing them to delete stuff or to get rid of stuff or to think about what they're going to do with data after a purpose has been expired, right? These are fine points that are in these regulations, and it's really helping push more at governance in terms of what's the data lifecycle. So data has a life from cradle to grave. And so thinking of data as like a forever data thing is not good for companies, especially in the AI sense. Data gets old, data gets stale. You want your models to be as up to date, as fresh as possible. You also want to manage that data in a way that creates less harm and risk for individuals. So, for example, if data that is maybe legacy, that's aged out, not as valuable to organizations, create a high risk for people and high risk for companies of privacy breach or a cybersecurity or data protection breach. That's another reason why organizations really need to think about data more holistically in terms of a life cycle, as opposed to being so focused on just the collection of data.
One actionable step you would recommend for businesses to start building trust, ensuring responsible AI, something that they can implement or consider as soon as tomorrow?
Companies can create more transparency and trust around how they handle data. So that transparency doesn't necessarily mean that you open up all your databases or let everyone see every 0 and 1 that you're doing with their data. It really is having more of a dialogue, having more of a conversation, a relationship with the person that you have their data, so that they know that you're using data for the purposes that you collected it for. If you want to use it for another purpose, you're going to ask someone's consent, and you're going to do the right thing in terms of that end of life data strategy. So I think those three things together are things that companies can start with right now. You don't really need technology. You just need to have the will and be able to make this a part of your company's values in terms of how you manage data.
So Debbie, as a wrap up, let's leave on a positive note. If there's one key takeaway from our conversations today, is that privacy and innovation can coexist with the right strategies. And as a takeaway, what one actionable step you'd recommend for businesses to start building trust and ensuring responsible AI, something that they can implement straight away and consider as soon as tomorrow?
In the future, transparency is going to be vital in terms of how companies are able to get trust of individuals and be able to really show good data stewardship all the way through a data lifecycle. As we converge on a lot more complexity, a lot more implementation of AI, that type of transparency really is, in my view, going to be like the new goal in the future.
Thanks for tuning into AINS
and CTO News Thursday. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights.
Discover our AI on Us CTO News Thursday, a 10-minute mini web series to democratize the complexity of AI changes by bringing to the table major concerns, current observations, and latest initiatives.